nika apply hiyo AGPO, nikaambiwa hii inakuwaga very easy to access the government procurement kwa tenders, na nikawa ninafanya tenders kupitia nikiattach hizo document, na nikapata inapea mtu opportunities, na ndio niliweza kuendelea na nimefaidi kupitia hiyo AGPO.
Labda tu kabla tujaenda kwa hawa wengine, kuelezea wananchi tu kama iwapo kuna yote ambaye unamfahamu ambaye yuko kwa serikali mkubwa fulani, labda waziri ama labda PS ambaye labda alikusaidia ukapata nafasi hiyo.
Hapana, sikusaidiwa na mtu yoyote, because hata kwa hizo tenders zenye tunafanya wanakuaga wameelezea hapo, kuna ile wana space wanaachia wa mama, so ukiapply ukiwa na AGPO unapata hiyo opportunity ya kupewa hiyo award.
Asante sana. Nimeuliza hivyo kwa sababu kuna baadhi ya Wakenya wengi ambao wanasema kwamba ili uweze kufaidika lazima uwe umemfahamu mtu fulani, aidha mtu mkubwa kwa serikali ama mtu ambaye akona uwezo kwa njia fulani ndio uweze kufaidika. Umesikiliza wenyewe kina mama wawili, hakuna yeyote ambaye wanamfahamu, walienda tu kujisajili wenyewe na kupata kusaidiwa. Wewe pia Mkenya yote ambayo uko pale na hujawahi kupata kusaidika na kwenye mradi huu wa AGPO, tunaomba tu uje uende kwenye Huduma Center, utume maombi, kisha utapata majibu tu, na pia uende kufaidika kwa miradi hizi za serikali. Ningependa sasa kumpatia nafasi Bwana Brian Kiprop ili ajieleze pia alipata kujua AGPO kivipi.
Asante Bwana Spokes. Jina langu Brian Kiprop, entrepreneur na beneficiary wa AGPO wa youth. Nilijua AGPO kwa sababu ya rafiki yangu mwenye alikuwa anafanya biashara under the category around 2017 there. Na ilikuwa interesting because ya testimonial yake ilikuwa before nishaiangalia document ya tender, na ilikuwa ina seem na a lot of jargon na vitu zenye nilikuwa nafikiria siwezi access. So because aliniambia inaweza fanyika na nikaona akifanya, na akaniambia a lot of the things zenye ziko waived because of AGPO, nika decide ku apply online. Ikarudi kwa hiyo portal still, and then since then nimekuwa niki access various opportunities, various ministries.
Asante sana Bwana Kiprop. Madam wako wewe?
Hello, my name is Teresia Wanjohi, and pia mimi ni after clearing my campus studies, I got a friend who told me that yeye pia anafanya kazi na tenders na suppliers, and so akaniambia badala ya kushinda you are still here waiting to go and look for a job ama applying for those positions, why don't you join this AGPO? Na it's youth friendly, so you can get different opportunities hapo. And kwenda kwa website nika apply, I got my certificate, and like unaweza access sasa when you have the documents unaenda kwa the various government tenders and una apply to hapo. When you have what the tender wants, like unapata tu.
Thank you very much, Madam Wanjohi, for that. We have arranged them like this deliberately so that you can be able to see, slightly older women and very young people. Now, they have given their story, and the story is that out of their own, interest, as their own initiative, they're able to enroll and started exploiting and even benefiting from AGPO. Now, these young people, perhaps we can ask them if any of them is related to any senior government official or any senior politician. Perhaps they can say. Maybe any of you can say, Madam Wanjohi?
Actually, I don't even know anyone or any government official. It's that you in ile ya kujitumba kama youth, badala ya kukaa kwa nyumba una watch Netflix, you just walk, go around those offices, unapata fare inakufikisha town, then you trek to NTSA, you walk to the National Treasury, and then with that persistence, watakunote. So I actually don't know anyone. Yes.
Mine is the same story, and this is the closest I've ever been to a high-ranking government official. So.
Well, I'm not that high-ranking. But again, those are their testimonies. None of us know any of them. They came in here as beneficiaries of this very important government program that has been deployed by the government to empower the youth, women and people living with disability. You know, and these are not the only programs. The last couple of weeks we've been talking about many other programs that have been deployed by the government designed to empower the youth. So the young person who is out there, I know that you know, there are those who may be challenged one way or another with regard to distances in terms of where you have to either, you know, trek or use border to the nearest government facility, government offices. Please, it will not be money wasted. Use that opportunity, like here the young girl talking about, you know, trekking from town to NTSA Upper Hill, you know, and it did not. So I think with that, we want now to roll over to the next event or the next, segment of this program. We have got National Youth Council that we also wanted to host and wanted to see the connection between National Youth Council and the beneficiaries of various government empowerment programs targeted to empower the youth.
Thank you so much. We are just with us as we transitioning to the National Council, a new class. Is Ms. Vildania Wasike, who's the head of partnership and resource mobilization, who's the head of the legal department at the National Youth Council. So without much further ado, one spokesman, please take us home.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark, really. Like I did mention that we are transiting to a platform that is actually designed to empower the youth through facilitation to various government activities, facilitation to be able to access some of these programs, empowerment programs. So, Madam Viridiana, please introduce yourself to the audience and also tell us what you do.
Mobilization at the National Youth Council. The National Youth Council is a state agency under the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs. Our key mandate is to actually advocate for youth opportunities in all spheres of life, social, economic, and political spheres. My role there is to really advocate or push for partnerships and resources that will enable us achieve our mandate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Malombe?
Thank you very much, Bwana Spokesman. My name is Victor Malombe from the National Youth Council. I am in charge of the legal department. Council came about as an institutional
Yes, thank you very much for that, Mr. Malombe. Perhaps, you know, many viewers, even many Kenyans, actually, wherever they are, haven't heard about NYC. In most, you know, places of this country, you know, NYC does not ring a bell to many young people. What would you say about that?
I would say that for the very many young people, National Youth Council rings a bell to them. And for the ones that it doesn't ring a bell, it's probably the outreach hasn't been enough. And one of our, thank you to you for actually Semana Spokes, because when it's projected from your office, it's actually very clear that this institution exists and this institution has this mandate to reach the young people wherever they are. Therefore, it is for us to heighten the advocacy and conversations that we are having. And I would just like to also say we are reaching young people through various platforms. This live platform with you. Currently, we are reaching the young people through Vibes Radio. You can engage with us. We reach the young people through our social media networks. And apart from that, we have very structured programs that we actually work with the young people, ranging from the political space to the social space, be it from mental health, be it participation in elections. All this are avenues that we are reaching young people. And we would say that as young people, the National Youth Council is a leverage for you. Go ahead and leverage on the National Youth Council to achieve what you need to achieve as a young person.
Mr. Malombe, perhaps how would you rate the benefit that the young people have perhaps been able to enjoy on account of the existence of National Youth Council?
Okay, thank you very much. Since the inception of the National Youth Council through the National Youth Council Act number 10 of 2009, first of all, the council has 3 organs. Yeah, this is the council which comes about through an elective process. Then we have the Youth Advisory Board, which is appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. Then we have the Secretariat. At the inception of the National Youth Council, we had elections in 2012. Yeah, these were pursuant to the election guidelines of 2011. So first of all is that through those elections, young people were able to come on board from the grassroots level, from the ward level to the constituency. But at the time, previously we had the provinces. So we had representatives from across the provinces. Yeah, and if you look at, for those of us who are keen, most of these members of the council then have gone ahead to become members of county assemblies, various senates. Yeah, so they've been able to be inculcated with that aspect of leadership. Further to that, the National Youth Council has been able to, sensitize and train. I think since that time we've been able to reach over 5 million youths and sensitize them and train them on their civic rights and responsibilities, so that they can meaningfully participate and be included in the democratic process, in the governance conversations, and also for them to be able to take up leadership roles. So in terms of civic engagement, the National Youth Council has been critical, has been focused on training and sensitizing and building the capacity of young people to be able to take their place in these spaces. Other than that, the National Youth Council has been able to, bridge the gap, yeah, because looking at statistics, we know that the average of those who are in leadership is about 63 years old, and the average age for the population is 20. So you can see the gap over 40 years. So the National Youth Council has been able to leverage on intergenerational dialogue, intergenerational co-leadership, yeah, so that the young people can be mentored by the older generation, and together we can partner to make Kenya a better place. So through those intergenerational dialogues, we've been able to curb aspects such as sexual and gender-based violence. We've been able to improve the living standards and health conditions of young people. We've been able to empower young people in terms of reaching out for opportunities, such as what we've had this morning, opportunities such as the AGPO, and many other government opportunities and initiatives. Also, in addition to that, the National Youth Council, through its strategic partners, we've been able to, in line with what the Constitution talks about, improving on the forest cover. With the help of partners, we've been able to, plant over, in fact, last year we planted over 50,000 trees with the young people. So the young people have been involved, yeah, not only involved, but meaningfully participated and included in these kind of processes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have seen the number of young, people getting involved in politics. Some of them seeking to be elected in various, different and elective posts or positions. But we're also seeing young people still participating in certain acts of hooliganism during campaigns. What do you tell them?
We tell them that indeed Kenya is your country the next day after elections, or during, if you destroy that property, then you're the one who is actually going to suffer the next day. Indeed, we have seen the acts of violence that are going, that young people are perpetuating. However, the truth is that young people are not financing themselves to do this. And that is why, on the flip side, when you flip the coin for us as National Youth Council, we are spreading the message of peace. We are spreading this and saying we're extending the arm to everyone to dance for peace. And the reason as why we're doing this, we are saying, show us your hands. Where are your hands? Because the very things that are going to really carry out the act of violence are your hands. When you look at the dance that we are passing along, it's basically demonstrating where your hands are. And we are saying, after the elections, vote and go away. And this is a consistent conversation that we are having. Dance for Peace is our way of saying maybe we cannot pay you to probably the same way our older generation is doing, that they pay you to go and do the act of violence. But we can generate that joy and pride for our nation as we do that. We are partnering with Kenya Daima, and part of the conversation is actually to say the national anthem, 2 stanzas of the national anthem, and just saying tatenda wajibu wangu. But as we do that, we are also taking responsibility of who Kenya is. And therefore, it's to call, even as we do now, to call on all of us to spread that joy and to spread the message of peace as we go and elect our leaders. Thank you.
Maybe just as we get to the tail end of this, about the collaboration that you have with various entities at the county level, because that is where the people are, and that is where the youth are found. So maybe just, tell us how you're collaborating with the other agencies so that the message can actually be able to get across to many, many young people.
Indeed, and thank you so much. 70% of our youth are in the rural areas, but for us as it is in the county areas. And what we have really done, apart from the processes that we have, which is the election from the ward level and all that, we have partnered with Ministry of Devolution. Ministry of Devolution is actually at the center stage of the opportunities for young people within the devolved system of government. We have seen that 10 years post-devolution, the youth have actually been left behind. And why do we say that? 4 out of 47 counties have the youth policy. And this has been our drive to ensure that all 47 counties have the youth policy. Why should we get it down to the county? The reason as to why we are pushing it down to the county is because once the plans have been written, these plans are implemented at the county level. And therefore, once these policies have been done at the county level, we are assured that the young people priorities, the priority areas they have will actually be included in the plans. This is supported by UNDP as well. They are one of our key partners, especially in deepening democracy and the joint devolution program. They supported the first 2 policies we did, but they are now looking to see how they can support an entirety of the entire process. Young people are actually participating as themselves to develop these policies during this period. And the reason for that is we are also sensitizing young people on the aspect of timing. Why is timing a really important aspect? As elections are going on, the county integrated development plans are being developed. The medium-term plan 4, the structure of it is actually being done. Where is the participation of the young people within this process? So we are saying, as the politics is going on, understand exactly where your input is. And recently, one of the young people who appeared on radio actually said the young people from the age 1986, said they're the most educated young people. And these most educated minds, we can actually put them in the development of plans, in their understanding, because some of them have had international exposure and all this. So tapping into that and really putting it into place. And also we have the partnership with Council of Governors. And the critical element for us is that Council of Governors, at that table, is where decisions for county are being made. One of the agreements, or one of the things we agreed with them is that during the induction of governors and the CECs, that the National Youth Council presents the policies that young people are developing, and also the guidelines of inclusion in the CIDPs. With that, we know it is at the table of the governors, it's at the table of the CECs, and therefore that ensures that our impact really trickles down. Thank you.
Maybe just last two, as you were talking about collaboration with the governor and the Council of Governors, and a question came up to my mind. We have gone around most of the counties in this country, and each time you ask about a youth about how they have been able to and get involved in the governorship of or governing activities at the county level, most of them perhaps say that they wouldn't do that because they have not been invited. And therefore, if you ask them whether they are aware about how much was given to their county in terms of budget, many of them are not even aware of even how much your county requested for to be given in the next financial allocation. Many of them do not have any clue, and therefore we can conclude that their level of participation in governance at the county level is a bit low. So my question therefore would be, what is it that you're doing to enhance that? As you talked about various programs that are being deployed to be able to enhance youth participation in governance as a whole. As you take that, maybe also inform the viewers whether you are represented in all the counties, so that when a young person wants to get information about the National Youth Council, as opposed to going to perhaps the website, is there any way that these young men and women can be able to get an office where they can be informed about what NYC is all about?
Thank you. So indeed, yes, young people within the planning and all that and budgeting process are not well informed. And this is what we are trying to really address. And especially when we talked about the policy document. Once I understand what my priority areas are, then I understand what it will take to implement. And once I understand what it will take to implement, it makes the young person understand that I must be involved in the budgeting process. And therefore really being very clear with the young people and making them understand that these are processes that they're supposed to be involved in. This, again, is also supported by UNDP. We have a very strong partnership with UNDP, and this is especially within the sorry, I'm smiling because I was going to say CBEF, and county budgeting engagement forums, and you had wonders before about that. We partner with UNDP as well on this to ensure that youth involvement are involved in the county budgeting engagement forums. And the reason for this is to really ensure that they understand where the money is coming from or where the involvement is going to be. When government plans, and this is the conversation we have with young people, when government plans, whatever is in that plan is what is going to be implemented. And therefore, them really participating in that process, understanding what government has planned, and in this case, what county government has planned, and that is where the involvement has been. We have faced a challenge, and that is why we are developing the youth guidelines of inclusion in the CIDP, that youth are only included in culture and sports. The big question for us is, are youth only engaged within culture and sports, or in the whole spectrum, all the 18 sectors of government? And that is why we are saying this inclusion has to happen in all these sectors, because you'd find youth who are not particularly interested in sports, or who are not particularly interested to attend a cultural event. But I am particularly interested to do agriculture. So this is what we are pushing for. You've asked the question about where they can find National Youth Council. Is it an office or is it a representative? National Youth Council does not have the offices within the county government yet. However, we have representatives who have gone through the elective process, and they work very closely with the county governments. You find that the youth within these county governments are now assigned within the Department of Youth. And that is where now most of the things that we champion for are included in that. Within the policies that we are developing, we are trying to get a youth advisory segment where it will really involve the youth within that entire process, and thereby to ensure youth issues are included. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Wasike, for that. Mr. Malombe, also thank you so much. And I think now it is time to invite the audience also to participate in this kind of conversation. Mark? Mark, are you there?
Thank you so much, Bwana Spokesman, for such a indulgent and a very exhaustive conversation on matters National Youth Council. The question that I have here is a question from Kipkwech Kima, who is asking that what organizations has the National Youth Council connected young people to? What organizations has the National Youth Council organized for young people to participate in, other than the county governments, of course?
Malombe, want to take that?
I think Madam Wasike can answer that because of partnerships.
Yes, I can pick that. The National Youth Council has partnered with very many organizations. I'll take the example of Spread Truth Africa, which we do a lot on the Sawazishe Gumzo, which is the intergenerational dialogue. We have partnered with them on the intergenerational dialogue. I'll take the example for EABL. We've partnered a lot with EABL, and especially with just sensitizing on matters youth and the responsible drinking. We have partnered with NACADA, where also our CEO is the director of the board, and a lot of what we do with them is also on sensitization of youth not to get involved in alcohol and drug abuse. UNDP, we have partnered with them in most of our programs. Look at Serve the Children. You can look at Huawei, where we partner with them, especially on our Fursathon, which is our yearly challenges. We have media houses that we partner with. We have partnered with Citizen. We have partnered with Standard Group. We have a cross-section of programs. Kenya Forestry Service has been giving us 10,000 trees per county on each every other time, and this has really driven engagement with young people to go out to in the Greening Kenya initiative. So we have quite a lot of partners within different sectors. Each sector, we have divided, our partnership priority areas are in different sectors. So within those different sectors, we have partners in those different sectors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Yes, thank you for that. Now, Honorable Thomas Naru asks, is there a certain budget allocation specific to the youth, especially in county governments?
Budget allocation, the youth, the county level?
I would say not. The reason being is it's within a particular sector, and that was in the gender, youth, culture, and social services. And within that sector, there was a programmatic aspect that actually the youth can do within culture and sports. Yes.
But also,
In
okay,
addition,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, just go on.
Okay. In addition to that, I think my colleague had mentioned that we are pushing to have guidelines for the inclusion of youth in the county integrated development plans. yeah, because we realize that there's a gap, yeah, in that youth are only allocated as a sector on sports, yeah, and culture. So we want, through those guidelines, because one of our mandates, as had been mentioned, is to push for policy, to ensure that there is a policy environment that promotes issues that are related to youth. So through that, we are working on those particular guidelines to ensure that youth are actually represented in all the sectors during the coming up with the county integrated development plans, because you realize that a National Youth Council was actually formed to be in the strategic, to bring youth into the strategic, not only in running programs as any other kind of NGO, but to be a watchdog, a voice, that bridges the gap between the government and the youth. So we are working on these guidelines to ensure that moving forward, and even as we plan for the next 5 years, the CIDPs, we are able to have youth represented in all the sectors. Thank you very much.
In addition to that, I think the good news is that even though there might be no budget at the county level, but there's budget at the national government level. And that is where we're talking about AGPO, where we have got 30% procurement budget that is allocated to the youth, women, and people living with disability. So whereas the policy framework at the county level is still being worked on, but there is something for the youth at the national level. So they are not necessarily being left out. There are many programs that are being, like I did mention, have been deployed by the government to empower the youth. So the youth really today is a constituency that the government takes very, very seriously and is committed to empowering, to ensure that the youth are not just given money to invest, but also given skills and competency, so they can be able to participate effectively in national development. Mark?
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Joseph Mutinda to unmute from Makueni and ask his question. Joseph, please ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Joseph. I think the NYC has been in existence for some years. So for me, I've known the NYC this year. So
Bwana Mutinda, are you there? Bwana Mutinda? I think we've lost Bwana Mutinda. We had a question from Unja as we wait for Mutinda to come back. Do we have a policy or law that compels governors to appoint a certain percentage of youth to various positions at the county level?
Can take that.
Okay, can take that. At the moment, and that's why, as I had mentioned, that part of the mandate of the National Youth Council is to push for legislation and policy that ensures that youth are represented, they have an opportunity to associate, to participate and be included. So at the moment, there isn't really a policy to that effect, but as the National Youth Council, we are pushing to have the Youth Inclusion Bill, which we are pushing to have it enacted in due course. This Youth Inclusion Bill will ensure that youth are included and represented in decision-making bodies, in boards, in committees, as well as we will be able to cascade the National Youth Inclusion Bill to county specific, so that we can have county youth inclusion legislation. Further to that, through the youth policies that my colleague has mentioned, as she had mentioned, these policies also intend to have a segment on a youth advisory kind of committee or a section, such that this youth advisory will advise the county governments into having the youths included in in various positions within the at county level. So yes, we are doing something to ensure that that is that is actualized and to ensure that it's a reality on the ground. Thank you.
You wish to add something on that?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Proceed.
All right. Someone is asking about the representatives. How are they chosen? And what is the criteria for selection?
I'll take that as well because it falls within my docket. Yes. So I had mentioned that we had the first elections of the National Youth Council in 2012. That was through the election guidelines of 2011. However, the council is a 21-member council, and how this comes about, well, just to bring it to perspective, we now have the election guidelines of 2021 because the previous guidelines were phased out due to efflux of time. Through the guidelines of 2021, we are just waiting for the ministry to gazette the election date. But how it happens is that the youth elect delegates from the grassroots level, that is from the ward level, and at the ward level they elect because we have 1,450 wards, right? They will be able to select six youth from the ward level. This youth will then, from among themselves, elect 2 representatives at the constituency level. We have 290 constituencies. That means we will have around 580 delegates. From there now, it will move to the National Congress level. So through that process, we will have 8 youths elected by the youth themselves. These 8 youths will represent what we had previously as the provinces. Then we'll also have 8 youths who will be nominated by the cabinet secretary responsible for youth affairs. That makes it 16. This then on top of the 16, we will have alternate members who will be permanent secretaries from certain ministries. This includes the ministry responsible for youth affairs, Ministry of Finance. We have the Ministry of Education. We have also the Ministry of Interior. Yeah, so the permanent secretaries may come on board themselves or appoint representatives in writing. Then also we will have, the 8 that I had mentioned, the ones who will be nominated by the cabinet secretary will cater for special interest groups. These are persons with disability, the minority, and the marginalized. So in total, it's a 21 member council. So we've only had 1 election previously, which was done in 2012. And we all know how the challenge we normally have with elections in the country. So it was marred with some challenges. And so at the time when the council now came on board was around 2013, 2014. So that council served for 2 terms because the council members are essentially supposed to serve for 3 years, renewable ones, provided that the elected member has not attained the age of majority. We know that youth is from 18 and someone who has not attained 35. Yeah. So the requirements to be part of to be a member of the council is just to have, first of all, to be a Kenyan citizen with a valid ID or passport. Secondly, you need to have good standing, so you need a recommendation from your chief, as well meet the standards of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And also you need to, in terms of education level, you should have just finished secondary education. So it's not a pedantic rule, as it were, and it seeks to accommodate all youths from all segments. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mark.
Thank you so much for that. Joseph Kumu, I'm going to ask you to unmute so you can ask a question. Joseph Kumu. Joseph, I'll ask you to unmute. Just click accept, then you'll be able to talk. Okay, Joseph seems to be away. The Kenya John is asking, how can one join the NYC?
Yes, I can. The National Youth Council is for all youth. You have access to National Youth Council so long as you're 18 to 35 years. We do have a membership portal. You can put in your details and register. There's www.nationalyouthcouncil.go.ke. We have the Huduma portal as well. And we do carry out several programs. So just be involved, be engaged. As a youth, you are part of National Youth Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark?
All right, I'm going to ask Joseph Kumu to close it out for us by asking the question. Joseph, try to unmute yourself again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Joseph Kumu. I have two questions with me here. The first question, when will the elections, NYC election, be conducted? The second question is it possible to have elected delegates, e.g. the ward or constituency delegate, getting an office inside assistant county commissioners, deputy county commissioner, or county commissioner's office so that they can represent National Youth Council at the ground level? Thank you.
We're going to take that one. You?
Okay, in terms of, thank you for that question. In terms of when the elections will be conducted, we anticipated to have the elections this year because, as I had mentioned, through our CEO, Mr. Roy Sasaka, he was able to push for us to have the election guidelines passed. Yeah, and that was done in 2021. So then we intended to have the elections conducted this year. But owing to the fact that we have general elections this year, and also we intended that these elections will be all inclusive in that it will not be the old way of doing things, because we understand that youth are dynamic, youth are creative, youth are agile, youth are radical, and youth are innovative. So through our able cabinet secretary, who is also responsible for ICT and innovation, we wanted to have a platform whereby youth can vote from the comfort of their homes. Yeah, and we through our CEO, we realized that we can have an election done through USSD, through digital platforms, and so we tried to push to have this on board. Which we have done through the ministry, but then because of some of the bureaucracies and owing to the fact that we have the general elections, that was halted. But we intend to have the elections conducted as soon as we have the next government in place, and all that is remaining is the gazettement of the election date. Thank you.
Very well.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Ms. Bridiana Wasike, for giving us your time. Mr. Victor Malombe, both
Mark, there's a question that has not been addressed.
Yes?
Offices at the county?
The offices at the county. And I'd like to stress the point that, especially because of intergovernmental relations, the relationship between our delegates and the county commissioners' offices, that access is there. And it just requires us to have that information get to the county level, especially the government level mechanisms, which is the district commissioners' offices and all that within that compound. That is something that can be done. And in addition to that, we have the youth empowerment centers. And these are under the State Department for Youth Affairs. These youth empowerment centers are also locations where our delegates have the freehold to be able to run the affairs of youth. And finally, and even we've seen county governments, and these are now the elected county governments, the governors recognizing the National Youth Council delegates. And this is what we are also pushing for, especially with now the legislations that we are working with, the policy documents and all that, to really recognize that these young people are part and parcel of the process, that they as governors have gone through an elective process, and why that position is also required within the county government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Yes, thank you so much. We would like to thank Ms. Viridiana Wesike, Mr. Victor Malombe, both from the National Youth Council, and of course, not forgetting Cecilia Kariuki, who was representing Joseph Kariuki, who's a person living with PWD, and Milka Wairimu, who's a lady who has benefited from YAGPO, Brian Kiprop, Teresia Wanjohi, who are both youth who've done government procurement without knowing anyone in government, giving us the courage really to be able to do this. Bruno Owiti, we see your hand. However, we are out of time, so over to you, Bwana Spokesman. Meanwhile, we'll see you guys next time, same time on Semana Spokes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark, for that. Indeed, I also want to take this opportunity to thank all those that participated in this program today, starting with the beneficiaries of AGPO for, again, sparing your time to come and be here with us, and informing the public that these programs are there for each and every one of us. For as long as we fall within AGPO requirement, anybody can be able to access and benefit from them, whether you are somebody living with disability, whether you are a young person, a woman, a young person who is anyone between the age of 18 and 35. You can be able to benefit from these programs, women as well. So really there is no reason why somebody should stay away from these programs on account that they know no one. These programs belong to every Kenyan for as long as you fall within that category, irrespective of where you are, whether you are in Mandera, you are in Isiolo, you are in Lamu, you are in Isebania, you are in Kisumu. These programs are there for every Kenyan for as long as you fall within that category. So please, let's exploit these very important programs to empower that category. Also want to take this opportunity to thank Madam Viridiana Awasike and Mr. Victor Malombe for enlightening the audience about National Youth Council and what it does and how you can be able to benefit from the Youth Council. Indeed, many young people have, from what they're saying, have been able to be informed about that they can be able to participate in various activities in the country, it be political activities, it be in terms of environmental conservation, and many other aspects that are designed to be able to empower our country. For me, really, what I wish to tell the young people who have been listening to us is that you have a role to play in building this country. Like Madam Wasika did mention, that it is us who can destroy this country, but even us who will be able to eventually build it back. So whether you want to destroy it and build it back later, that is entirely up to you. What we are saying that don't do that, because there's a lot more at stake even as we head into the next general election. Let it be election bila nini? Election bila norma. So I want to end it there and to invite you again, same platform next Monday on Semana Spokes. Thank you very much. So hiyo ngoma iko wapi?